If you want to learn to DJ but feel completely overwhelmed by where to start, you're in the right place. The internet makes DJing look way more complicated than it actually is. There's 1,000 different tutorials telling you 1,000 different things, and you end up more confused than when you started. This video is different. It's the map. Everything that you actually need to know to go from complete beginner to confidently mixing. Clear, simple, and step by step. My name is DJ Blakey. I'm a DMC champion, and I've taught thousands of DJs how to do this. This is everything that I wish somebody had told me when I started. So let's get into it. Now, when you're a complete beginner DJ, feeling overwhelmed is totally normal. Whilst there is a lot of depth to learning how to DJ, when you're a complete beginner, there are really only a few things that you should be learning, and we're going to cover them in this video. The internet can overcomplicate DJing, but I'm here to simplify it and help you understand it properly. This video is your clear path to understanding how to DJ properly from scratch. First of all, let's talk about what DJing actually is. DJing is about controlling the music and playing it in a way that is cohesive, seamless, and keeps the energy flowing. At this beginner stage, DJing is not about tricks. Good DJing is often quite subtle. Your job is to simply keep the energy flowing in between songs and play one continuous mix of music that will keep people engaged, keep people dancing, and keep them having a good time. At this stage, you don't need to actually impress anybody. And believe it or not, DJing is actually simpler than it looks. The equipment that you need as a beginner is actually quite simple. In this video, we're going to be using the DDJ Flex 4 from Pioneer DJ. Now, the DDJ Flex 4 is without a doubt, in my opinion, the best beginner DJ controller out there. It's cheap, but powerful. You get more for your money than any other DJ controller currently on the market. The DDJ Flex 4 is under $300, but you could use any similar 2-channel beginner DJ controller, and there are so many out there. But if you don't yet have one, my recommendation would be the DDJ Flex 4. You are also going to need a laptop to plug the DDJ Flex 4 into. You could use a phone or a tablet, but I would highly recommend using a laptop because you're going to get so much more out of your DJing experience. You will also need some headphones, and I will get into why you need headphones shortly, but this is so that you can queue up the song that you're mixing in and you can listen to it through the headphones before the audience hears the track. So you can make sure that the mix is sounding clean in your headphones before you bring the volume up. Again, I'll cover this in depth in a moment. And the last thing that you're going to need is the DJ software on your laptop. I'm going to be using Rekordbox for this video because the DDJ Flex 4 comes with a full pro license to Rekordbox for free. You can use the DDJ Flex 4 with Serato. However, you have to pay for Serato, whereas you don't have to pay for Rekordbox. So the smart choice is to just use Rekordbox if you're using the DDJ Flex 4. If you already have a DDJ Flex 4, then I have some completely free in-depth lessons specifically for this controller that you might want to check out. Just hit the second link in the description and I'll send them to your email for free. When it comes to equipment, this is all you need: a laptop, a DDJ Flex 4, headphones, and Rekordbox. Do not make the mistake of buying anything else yet, because as a beginner, everything that you need to learn at this stage can easily be done with just this gear. So now let's take a look at the Rekordbox software and go over all of the basics that you need to understand. You'll see here in the software, you have 2 decks. You've got the left deck and you've got the right deck, also known as channel 1 and channel 2. In the middle of the software, you've got the mixer, which mirrors perfectly the mixer in the middle of the DDJ Flex 4 controller. These numbers in the middle of the decks, that's the BPM. The BPM is a very important number that you will start to understand naturally as you begin practicing as a beginner. BPM stands for beats per minute, and it simply represents the tempo of the track. So on the left deck, I've got a track which is 124 beats per minute. As an experienced DJ, I know that that means it's at house music tempo. The lower the BPM, the slower the track, and the higher the BPM, the faster the track. So hip hop tends to be between 80 and 100 BPM. House music tends to be between 120 and 130. Dubstep sits at 140, and drum and bass is anywhere between 168 and 175. Understanding how BPM works is crucial, and this will come with time and practice. At the top of the Rekordbox screen, these are the waveforms for both tracks. And if you look down here, you can actually see the entire waveform for the whole track. This actually gives you a lot of information just by glancing at it. These sections here, where it looks like not a lot is happening, this is known as the breakdown section of the track. This is where all of the drums and all of the bass are removed from the track, and it gives a break to those people dancing on the dance floor. A breakdown often ends with a build-up where tension increases right before the drop happens. And you can see the drop right here, just after the breakdown. There is also another drop over here later in the track, again after the second breakdown. If we take a look again at the waveform at the top of the Rekordbox screen, you can actually zoom in and out of this waveform by pressing the plus or minus icon on your keyboard. So if I press plus, you can see it zooms in. And if I press minus, you can see it zooms out. Now let's talk about the looping section of Rekordbox. You can very easily set a loop on any track which will just repeat a section. Right here, this is the looping section, and you can see it's currently set to loop for 4 beats. If I click this, you can now see that a 4-beat loop has been set on the track on the left deck. Let's play this. So that loop will play indefinitely, and that section will repeat until I turn the loop off or eject the song from the deck. You can use these left and right arrows here to halve or double the length of the loop. Looping is super useful if there is a section of a track that you don't want to end, or you might be getting to the end of the track and you don't want the track to finish. All you need to do is set a loop and that track will continue forever. Now let's talk about the mixer section in the middle of the software, but I'm actually going to use the DDJ Flex 4 to show you how this works, because the mixer in the middle of the Rekordbox software is exactly the same as the mixer section on the controller. And we're going to be using the controller to adjust all of those EQs. So let's bring that back. So right here, you've got a 3-band EQ on the left deck, and you have exactly the same on the right deck. This dial right here will adjust the low end, also known as the bass. This dial right here will adjust the mid frequencies, so you can go down to minus 26 decibels, or you can turn it up, which will go to plus 6 decibels. And this dial right here is the high end, also known as the treble. You also have a trim right here, which is essentially a second volume control. The reason this is here is so that you can leave this volume up all the way and adjust the trim by turning it down or turning it up. So let's say you're playing a track and it's a little bit quieter than the other track. You can still have both tracks at full volume using the volume sliders here, and you can adjust the volume for the track that's too loud or too quiet by using the trim. These dials right here are the filters. Turning it to the left will trigger a low pass filter, which will cut out all of the high-end frequencies from the track, or you can turn it to the right to apply a high pass filter, and this will cut out all of the low-end bassy frequencies from the track. Now I'm going to play a track and I'm going to show you how it sounds when I adjust all of these dials here. So this right here is the bass dial. So if we turn that down, you can hear that all of the bassy frequencies from the kick drum have now been removed. Let's turn that back up. So the bass is back. Now let's adjust the mid frequency. So now we only have the bass frequencies and the high frequencies coming through. Let's turn this back up. Now let's take down the high frequencies right here. So now we just have the low end and the mid coming through. So all of those treble frequencies have now been removed. Let's bring it back up. So now the track is about to drop. When it drops, I'm going to take the bass out again. So now the track has dropped and all of the bass is coming through, but have a listen to what happens when I take all of the bass out. Suddenly, loads of the energy from the track has gone because we've removed all of the bass frequencies. Let's bring it back. Now let's adjust the filter. I'm going to turn the filter to the left, which will apply a low pass filter, which will gradually bring out all of the high-end frequencies. So all of those high-end frequencies have gone, and now that it's right down at the bottom, only the very, very, very low frequencies are coming through. Let's gradually bring that back up. So what that did is it filtered out all of the high-end frequencies. Now let's adjust the high-pass filter. So all of those low-end frequencies are now being removed from the track. And the higher I turn this dial, only the very, very high frequencies are now coming through. Now let's bring this back around to 12 o'clock. This right here is the volume control. So that's how you fade a track in and out. And this right here is the crossfader. When the crossfader is in the middle, both tracks will play. When the crossfader is over to this side, only this track will play. And when the crossfader is over to this side, only this track will play. These are the basic tools that you're going to need to start your journey as a beginner DJ. Now let's talk about the headphone queuing system, because this is very important. The headphones will allow you to play a song that comes out of the speakers, but crucially, you can listen to the other track through the headphones without having the other track coming out through the speakers and the audience hearing it. This allows you to preview the next track, start mixing it in your headphones until it sounds correct, and then you can start bringing up the volume of the other track. So let's turn the volume down on the right deck and let's press play on the left deck. And now what I want to do is I want to hear this track through the headphones. And to do this, all you need to do is press the cue button for the deck you'd like to listen to. But crucially, make sure that the master cue right here is turned off. And now I can hear this track through the headphones and I can line it up, get the mix sounding good before I start bringing that track into the mix. This is what DJs are doing when you see them wearing headphones at their gigs. Really, you can use any headphones to DJ with. There are so many out there and you don't even need to spend much money to get a fairly decent set of headphones. Now I'm going to show you how you can connect to a streaming service inside Rekordbox so that we can start finding music and building a playlist of tracks that we love. So here inside Rekordbox, on the left-hand side of the software, you have different streaming services that you can log into. You've got Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud, Beatport, BeatSource, and Tidal. Now, there's no right or wrong decision here, but it is important to note that different streaming services are better for different styles of music and styles of DJing. Apple, Spotify, and Tidal, they're good for everything. Whereas SoundCloud is great for more underground music and DJ edits. Beatport is fantastic if you're into dance music like house, techno, or drum and bass. And BeatSource is great if you're an open format DJ or a hip hop DJ. My two favorites are Tidal and Beatport. And right now I'm going to log into my Beatport account. So let's click on the Beatport logo on the left-hand side. And this is where you can click log in and log into your Beatport account. So let's do that. So now that I'm logged in, let me show you how you can make a brand new playlist and start adding tracks that you would like to DJ with to that playlist. So over on the left-hand side, you've got these different drop-down menus. Let's open up the genres drop-down menu and let's scroll down to the genre house. Let's open up this drop-down menu. And this is where you can take a look at the top 100 house tracks on the Beatport chart right now. You can see here on the left-hand side, this is number 1 in the charts. And if I scroll down, it goes all the way down to number 100. This is a great way of keeping on top of the music that is big right now in your chosen genre. Now let me show you how you can make your own playlist and start adding tracks from the top 100 into your own playlist. So now let's go over to the playlists icon in Rekordbox. And I'm going to make my own playlist by clicking the plus icon here. And let's give this a name. I'm going to call this playlist My House Music. And now what I'm going to do is show you a clever way of having more than one playlist viewable inside Rekordbox. So if you click this icon right here, this will open up the playlist palettes. And you can see right here, you've got 4 blank lists. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my house music playlist to one of these playlist palettes. So now you can see right here, you can see my house music in the playlist palettes. Now let's go back to Beatport, scroll down to the house music top 100. And now I can take any of these songs and I can drag them over to the My House Music playlist. If you would like to see what's inside the playlists in the playlist palettes, just click this icon here. And now we can see my house music playlist right here, plus the Beatport top 100. Let's drag some more tracks in. And let's do one more. So this is a great way of having your streaming service open and dragging songs from that streaming service into your own playlists. This just makes life so much easier. As a DJ educator, a question I get asked all the time is, where do pro DJs find music and build out their libraries? I've actually made a completely free mini course all about this. And if you would like to grab it, just click the link down in the description and I'll email you the course for free. For now, what I recommend doing is dragging 10 tracks from your chosen genre that you like into your playlist and only focusing on those 10 tracks at this stage of your practice. Any more than that can just get overwhelming. So my advice is to keep your very first playlist nice and lean, and then as you become more experienced with mixing, you can start to build that out. Next up, we're going to cover the 4 core skills that every beginner DJ needs. I'm going to show you what they are, why they matter, and give you a drill so that you can practice each one. You don't need scratching or even effects at this stage. You just need these 4 things. Skill number 1 is phrasing. Music, especially modern dance music, is organized in phrases. And understanding these phrases is critical to avoid sounding like an amateur. Mixing at the correct phrases sounds natural, whereas mixing at the wrong phrasing is the quickest way to show everybody that you don't really know what you're doing. And honestly, this is one of the most important foundation skills that you're going to need. Dance music works in 32-beat phrases. Now, just so you understand how to count beats, I'm going to let this track play and I'm going to count along with every beat for 32 beats. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So do you hear what's happened at the end of that 32-beat phrase? The track changes. It went from an intro phrase straight into the breakdown phrase. This is so important. You need to get your phrasing right because you want intros to mix with intros, breakdowns to start at the same time as another breakdown, and you want a drop to begin at the same time as another drop. If a drop happens on this deck, and then the next track drops in 4 or 8 beats later, this is just going to sound so wrong. I do just want to make clear that after a little bit of practice, you will not be counting along with every song that you play. When you see a DJ on a stage or at a club, I can guarantee you that they're not counting the beats and the bars in their heads. They just know it instinctively because they've been practicing for so long. And this is something that you will pick up intuitively way quicker than you think. Music is also counted in bars, and 4 beats equal 1 bar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this track play, and I'm going to have counters on the screen which will show you how many beats have elapsed, how many bars have elapsed, and also show you which phrase of the track we're currently in. So let's take a listen. So here is a drill for you to practice. Pick one track, count the phrases for 5 minutes, and that's it. Once you feel confident doing this, you will very quickly progress to naturally counting along in your head as you're mixing without even thinking about it. This skill is the foundation that everything else sits on, so do not skip it. Next up, we're going to cover beat matching. And this is the most simple way of continuously playing music without skipping a beat. And let's be honest, you could use sync inside Rekordbox to beat match the tracks, but understanding why tracks match and how to adjust them manually will make you a better DJ even if you use sync most of the time. And at this stage of your journey, it is a very, very useful and valuable thing to learn. Now, I have both of these tracks set right at the beginning of the first kick drum. But there's something very important that you need to understand, which is the BPMs of both tracks and what it means if they're not the same. So on the left deck, you can see the BPM of the track is 124, and the BPM of the track on the right deck is 128. Now let's take a listen to what happens if I press play on both of these tracks at exactly the same time. Very quickly, it turns into a mess. And that's because the tracks are not playing at the same speed. So this right here is the tempo slider, and there is one for both sides. And I want to move the tempo slider until it matches the tempo of the track on this deck, which is 128. So if I move the tempo slider and move it until the BPM is 128 or as close to that as possible, watch what happens when I now press play at the same time on both decks. Both tracks are playing at exactly the same tempo and the beats are matched. The beat matching drill that I have for you will involve moving the tempo slider so that it's actually 1 BPM slower than the track on the other deck. So now this is 127 BPM and this is 128 BPM. I'm going to press play on both of these tracks and you will hear that the track on the left deck gradually shifts out of sync. And I want you to use the jog wheel to nudge the track forward by pushing the jog wheel forward to get the track back in time. This drill is going to be invaluable to you as a DJ going forward because it's going to teach you how to nudge tracks back in time when they naturally drift. So I highly recommend practicing this drill in this way. Let's take a listen. So you heard there that the moment the track starts to go out of sync, just nudging the jog wheel forward will sync both of the tracks back in time. If this track was running at a faster tempo, then you would need to nudge the jog wheel backwards instead. This is a great thing to practice and I highly recommend spending a little bit of time with this drill because it's going to pay dividends in the future. If you wanted to, you could press the beat sync button and this will match the tempo of this track to this track so that you don't have to move the tempo slider to do it manually. In all honesty, this is completely fine as a beginner, but as a pro DJ with over 25 years experience, I highly recommend learning how to get the track in time manually so that you don't have to rely on the software to do it for you. For skill number 3, we're going to be talking about EQ control. If you have a mix running and all of the EQs are at 12 o'clock and the volumes are the same, this is going to make your mix sound muddy. And muddy just means there's too much going on and the frequencies are clashing, making it sound like a bit of a mess. Too much bass equals a muddy mix. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the bass EQs to swap the bass from one track to the other during a mix. At this stage of your DJ journey, I recommend starting simple by only using the bass EQs. Take a listen to what it sounds like when I have 2 tracks mixing that drop at the same time, and I'm going to leave the bass at 12 o'clock on both tracks. You will hear that it just sounds like the frequencies are clashing. So the drop is coming up here, and I'm going to leave both bass EQs at 12 o'clock and just take a listen to how muddy it sounds. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the bass from one to the other, and you'll hear how much cleaner that sounds. Now take a listen to what it sounds like when I remove the bass from one track. So now all the bass is coming from this track, and let's swap them round. And then let's fade this track out. And now here is another drill for you. Choose 2 tracks that you like mixing and line them up so that both drops happen at the same time. And then practice swapping the bass smoothly 10 times in a row. Learning this skill is key. This is the difference between a clean sounding and a muddy sounding mix. Our next core skill is simple transitions. I'm going to show you how you can have one track playing and then use your headphones to mix in the track on the other deck and then bring up the volume of the new track, have them mixing for a period of time, and then fade out the other track while swapping the bass EQs round. This is the most simple, clean, and basic transition that you can learn, but that doesn't mean it's not important. This skill is going to be the backbone of your entire DJ career. There is, of course, so much extra skill that you can layer on top, but everything is built on the back of this transition. So now I'm going to perform this clean and basic transition. I'm going to start by playing the track on the left deck, and I'm going to use my headphones to listen to the track on the right deck, which I'm going to cue up in the headphones and then press play 32 beats after I start playing this track on the left deck. And then I'm going to bring up the volume fader, and then both tracks are going to drop at the same time. And then I'm going to swap the bass from the left deck over to the right deck gradually, and then I'm going to fade out the left deck. Let's take a listen. So I'm going to count down before I need to press play on the track that I'm mixing in. So I'm going to count down 4, 3, 2, 1 in a moment. Here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1, play. And now I'm listening in the headphones and I'm nudging the jog wheel to line up the tracks. And now I can bring the bass down of the track I'm bringing in and slowly bring the volume up. So all of the bass is coming from track 1 at the moment. And now let's gradually start swapping over the bass. And now let's gradually fade out the track on deck 1. And now I would like you to drill this same transition 10 times in a row. At this stage, you need to put in enough practice so that you can perform basic transitions like this back to back flawlessly. And believe me, with some dedication, you will get to that stage way quicker than you think. So with these 4 core skills, I recommend putting together a 20-minute practice session. Spend 5 minutes going over the beat matching drills that we covered earlier in the video, just to keep your beat matching skills tight and seamless. Then move on to mixing the same 3 or 4 tracks using the basic transition that I just showed you, and do this for 10 minutes. The same 3 or 4 tracks, the same sequence, the same EQ bass swapping. And then for the last 5 minutes, I want you to try and bring something new into the mix. That could be as simple as adjusting the high EQs as well as the low EQs, or maybe using the filter, whether that's high pass by turning it to the right or low pass by turning it to the left. Trying something new for the final 5 minutes of your 20-minute practice session is just going to keep things interesting and keep it exciting. Don't practice for 2 hours and end up frustrated. Practice for just 20 minutes at a time and keep your mind fresh. Believe it or not, practicing for short bursts is often way better than practicing for long sessions, which can be fatiguing. Sticking to these shorter sessions is actually going to help you show up to practice on a consistent basis. And that's actually all you need. You don't need motivation. You just need to show up and put those 20 minutes in every single day. As a DJ educator, I see beginner DJs make common mistakes all the time. But if you avoid these 4 common mistakes, you will progress faster than most. Number 1 is the tutorial trap. Most DJs will watch 10 different videos online instead of actually putting in the time to practice the skills that they need to improve at. My advice is to learn one thing, practice it, and then come back to it the next day. This is how you build mastery, repeating the same skills until you can perform them flawlessly. Mistake number 2 to avoid is genre hopping. I suggest you pick one genre to start, and this can be whatever music you're into. It could be drum and bass, it could be tech house, it could be hip hop. Spend time getting good with the genre of music that you love, because hopping between genres can just create confusion. And any skills that you learn in your chosen genre will be completely transferable to any other genre of music. So just stick to one style. Mistake number 3 that you need to avoid is gear shopping. A bigger DJ controller will not make you a better DJ. Everything that I'm using in this video, the DDJ Flex 4, a pair of headphones and Rekordbox on your laptop, is everything you need. So just practice with what you have, because everything you need is right here. And finally, mistake number 4 to avoid is trying to look too advanced at this stage. You don't need scratching or effects yet. They will come with time, but for now, just focus on the basic techniques that I have taught you in this video. These are the foundational skills that you need to master before moving on to anything else. If you try and run before you can walk, you're actually just setting yourself up for failure. So here are your next steps that I recommend. Spend the first 2 or 3 weeks practicing nothing but what I've taught you in this video. Focus on the 4 core skills that I've shown you and practice in 20-minute bursts so that you don't get fatigued and frustrated. Then if you want more, I have a complete beginner to pro DDJ Flex 4 course that will teach you everything that you'll ever need to know to go from complete beginner to pro DJ. The lessons are structured, they're deep, and they help you learn step by step. If you want to check that course out, then just click the link in the description. But for now, this video should be everything you need to get started. I also have some completely free resources also in the description. There are some DDJ Flex 4 lessons and a free mini course showing you where pro DJs find music and build out their DJ library. Again, those 2 resources are completely free. The links are in the description. But right now, you've got everything you need to get started. So go and practice and come back to my channel when you're ready for more. And if you want to check out more videos from me and my channel, then I've got a playlist right here full of videos showing you how to add more creativity to your DJ sets. Thanks for watching. My name is Blakey, and good luck with your DJ journey.